Hey everyone, welcome to Meeple Bits. Thanks for joining me today. So in today's how-to, we're going to tackle the game Foodies, a game for 2 to 5 players with a playtime of about 20 to 30 minutes. And through my games, they could even go a lot shorter than that. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive in, look at the components, the setup, and the how-to for the game Foodies.
So before we begin, let's take a quick look at the components that are going to come out during the course of play. First player token, flyer tokens, denominations of 1 and 3, country cards to determine food stalls, 10-sided die, and specialty chefs. Here we have the main play board with victory track and food stalls, the how to play phases, the player boards, 9 slots in total, popularity stars, player stars, and of course food stalls. To begin setup, start by putting the main player board in the center for all players to reach. Make sure to have the right side for the number of players you're going to have. In this 2-player setup, we're going to use the side for 2 or 3 players. The reverse side is for 4 or 5 players. Next, have all players select a random player board. They are random because you'll notice they are different in terms of their initial setup. Then have all players selected, choosing a color of their choice, and give them the 3 star tokens that match their color. Taking 1 star, putting it in the starting space on the main player board. Then, from the general supply, create a supply for your coins, a supply for your flyer tokens, a supply for your popularity stars, and the die accessible for all players. Then have each player take 2 coins from the general supply, filling in a coin on the blank spaces on their player board. In view of this one, there is only one that you can see, but all player boards do have 2 blank spaces. Fill them in with a coin from the general supply. Then, each player take 3 additional coins into their hand. Next, determine the first player, passing them the first player marker. In this game, the left player will go first, and they will keep this token throughout the game. Then, the first player should take 1 flyer token. The second player will then take 2 flyer tokens. In a 3, 4, or 5-player game, a 3-player game, the third player will also take 2 tokens, and in a 4 or 5-player game, player 4 and 5 will take 3. Now that all players have a player board, their starting color of stars, their starting coins, and flyer tokens, take the country deck and select 5 cards, returning the others to the box. These 5 cards will be the 5 types of food that you're going to use during the course of play. So take the corresponding food stall cards that represent those countries. There will be 10 of each that you've selected, so you will have a deck of 50 cards. Take that deck, placing it into the far left space of the bottom track. Next, take the special chef deck and choose 2 that will be used during the course of play, placing them into the special chef stalls, returning the rest to the box. And lastly, fill in the food court that is going to be available to purchase during play. Important, keep the circle or the cutout in the lower left corner so that it will expose the amount underneath. So when you're complete, the play area should look something like this. So before we begin play, let's take a quick look at the anatomy of the cards, starting with the special chef area. The general chef can be used by all players once per turn. This space, you can spend 4 coins to move up the popularity track 1 space. These special chefs may only be used one time per player, and when they meet those conditions, they will mark it off with their other star tokens. This special chef requires one food stall of each of the 5 types in play, and you will get 3 popularity as a reward. For the food stall cards, you'll notice there is both a country and a different type of reward underneath. And around the edges, you will see a layer of half stars. During the course of play, as you put these on your player board, you're going to be able to complete stars, thus taking additional rewards. Here is their country types in the middle and their different types of reward when you hire these stalls. So example, the player with the most French stalls, when activated, will receive 1 popularity. The player with the most American stalls will receive 3 additional tokens. And underneath is the cost to purchase those stalls. Now that we understand the anatomy of the cards, let's go ahead and jump into how to play Foodies. Foodies is played out over the course of an indeterminate number of rounds until the victory condition is met. In a 2 to 3 player game, once a player reaches 20 popularity, then the end game is triggered. On a player's turn, they're going to go through 3 phases, starting with the Foodie Visit. And here on the main play board, they have it spelled out for you. During a Foodie Visit, a player is going to roll the die. All players will collect the reward of the number shown. If a player rolls a 0, that player may then declare a stall number that they want to choose. So a 0 acts as a wild. Once all players have collected their rewards, then the player who's active will buy a food stall from the main play board. So there will always be 5 food stalls available for purchase. And then lastly, hire a chef. Check to see if you satisfy any of these conditions. Here, again, if you have 5 unique country stalls, then you may collect 3 and then cover this up because you cannot collect it again. Or if you wanted to hire this chef and spend 4 coins and gain a popularity, in phase 3 you may do that as well. So once players have collected the number of popularity here on 20, that'll trigger the end game, and then the player with the most popularity at the end of the game is the winner. So what does that look like during the course of play and in real time? Well, let's take a quick look. So player 1 is going to start off play. They're going to roll the die, and all players will collect number 2 as their reward. Player 2, number 2, is the coin that was placed in the beginning of the game. This coin may only be collected when building a stall over this spot. However, player 2 has the default coin, so they would take 1 from the general supply, taking it into their hand. Then the active player may use their coins and purchase a stall from the track. They only have 3 coins to start, so they could only purchase one of these 2. But I like either one of these, so let's start with this $2 one. So they would spend 2 coins and take this into their hand and place it anywhere on their board, any of the 9 spaces available. So taking a peek at these stars, well, this left one is not available, so number 4 is probably my best position to start with for something like this, so that I can cap off 3 spots with stars. Now, in the future, this spot becomes available for this reward instead of what was covered. Then the player may hire chefs. Right now, it's the first turn, so they don't meet the special conditions. Then before moving to the next player, all stalls will move to the right, and any purchased stalls will be revealed in the $6 space. And that's it. The game is going to continue. Now player 2 will do the same. They will roll the die. Number 8 for them is that coin starting space. However, number 8 for player 1 is 1 coin by default. So they would take 1 coin into their hand. Player 2 may now choose to purchase a stall. They have 4 coins available to them, and so they would be able to purchase 4, 3, or 2. For the different rewards, I do encourage you to please look at the rule book that's going to go into all the different definitions of what these do. But for example, this Chinese food stall, where you see this vertical dotted line, this is an and condition, meaning you will collect, example, if this player had this covered up here on this number 8 when the 8 was rolled, they would collect 1 popularity and then additionally take 3 coins from the supply and place them in a vertical row where this is located or a horizontal row. So what that looks like is taking 3 coins exactly like this, and if this were in this location, you could put it like so, or in a horizontal position. But player 2 is going to purchase that stall for all their money, 4 coins, and placing it into this number 1 spot. So flyer tokens, let's take a quick look at what that's going to look like and how to use them. During your turn, you may collect or you may use a flyer token to change the position of where you, the user of the flyer token, will go. So what that looks like is when player 1 rolls the die, they roll a 6. A 6 yields them 1 coin. And it yields player 2 also 1 coin. However, let's say, for example, they didn't want to do a 6, and let's say this card were here instead. They would use a flyer token, discard it to the general supply, and instead of taking the reward of the 6, they could move the position to any adjacent space. Adjacency is right next to, not diagonal. So if this American restaurant were, say, in the 5 position, then the player could say, I'm going to use my flyer token and move it to this 5. Then they're the highest number of American food stalls, so they would instead collect 3 coins from the general supply. Then they have the ability to purchase a stall. So they only have 5 coins, so they wouldn't be able to get this German stall now, but let's say they wanted that French stall. So they would spend their coins to the general supply, taking this into their hand, placing it down here. Now that this player has a conjoined star, that is also the type of reward that you would take if a 5 or an 8 were rolled. So on a player's turn, let's say it were a 5 in this condition, they would count up any complete stars that touch this number 5. So as an example, if a 5 were rolled, this player would take 2 popularity and move themselves up the track 2 popularity, in addition to the rewards down here. And play will continue until a player reaches the 20 mark of popularity, and then one final turn gets happened. So if the first player were the one that triggers the end game, then the second player would still have a chance to go. If the second player triggers it, then that would complete the game. And just to sum it up here on the German stall, when you build this one, you would be able to take a flyer token into your hand. This is the only way to acquire new flyer tokens. There are no other ways to purchase them throughout the course of the game. So they can only be had through restaurant stalls that allow you to acquire them. And that's it. That's Foodies, guys. So really simple, really straightforward. 3 steps to your process. Step 1, roll the die. All players take rewards. Step 2, active player purchases a food stall. Step 3, if you meet the condition up here, take the 3 stars as a reward. 2, 3. I know that's the wrong color. And then mark it off and continue with play. So I'm going to go ahead and tear this down, guys, and bring you my afterthoughts.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that setup and how-to for the game Foodies. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into my afterthoughts, starting with components. The components are okay. They're good enough. A lot of you might already know that I'm not the biggest fan of chits or punchboard for coin tokens, or even the popularity tokens, or even the flyer tokens. I don't know. They could have done maybe something a little bit different with those. Yes, it would have increased the cost, but look, sometimes I like deluxe components. You guys know that. But Components aside, they're okay. Beautiful linen finish on the cards, really nice layout with the hole punches so that you can have them anywhere and you can always still see the number underneath. The main player board is a really strong, sturdy stock. The player mats are flimsy kind of card stock, but again, overall, nothing to complain about too much. So what did I really enjoy about Foodies? Well, it plays wicked fast. Like, whether it's 2 players or 5 players, I mean, really, before you know it, the game is just ending. Suddenly, someone's hitting that 20 or 30 point condition, and then you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even get a chance to build up my stalls or even get a special chef. So I really like, though, that it played so quickly. It acts as a nice little filler game. With that said, however, and I can't really stress this too much, do not buy this for a 2-player game. At 2 players, it's not very fun. I hate to put that so just coyly, but in a game like this where it's predicated solely around the luck of the die on who's going to be able to bolster up the popularity or even money to buy more food stalls, the luck of that die matters. And in a 2-player game, look, there's no real competition if one person just gets so far ahead because their number kept hitting, especially early on if the other player didn't happen to fill in that number that might have been hot at the time because their strategy of trying to get the popularity stars might have worked out a little differently. So why should you add Foodies into your collection? Well, you like a Machi Koro style game. So it's very much in that wheelhouse of, you're rolling a die, everyone's kind of collecting the currency, and you're building your strategy sort of around that with a couple of, special chefs to guide players or influence how you might set up your play mat. So if you like a Machi Koro style game and you're going to play with, 4 or 5 players, Foodies is probably a game that you may want to add to your collection because it's inexpensive and it plays quickly and it's fun at 4 and 5. However, reasons you may not want to add Foodies into your collection is you are buying it for a 2 or 3 player style game. Do not get it. It's not fun because when someone is so far ahead and you already know they're going to win almost by default because they got in early on some hot numbers, so they're able to fill out their stalls maybe a little bit better or more strategically. So now they've got more connected popularity stars. So no matter what number is hitting, they're collecting 3 popularity per roll. So 2 or 3 players, don't get it. 4 to 5, consider it if you like a Machi Koro style game. So with that, that's going to do it for this one, guys. This is a really simple game to play. Also, a reason why you may want to get it is because it's easy to learn, easy to teach, easy and quick to play. That may also be a reason why you may not want to get it because it's also a little too easy and doesn't deviate or add too much new or really anything new to the genre that it's in. You're rolling a die, you're collecting income, you're building up popularity, and then the game's over. So if you have any questions about Foodies, if I missed anything, please leave a comment down below. I'm happy to answer them as best as I can. If you've enjoyed the video, I do appreciate the support. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And as always, everyone, until next time, thanks so much for watching.